You
Nice.
have the ability to focus on tasks and follow through, and that's difficult because you have, so like I said, you have so many hats,
Yeah.
and you don't know which way to go when you're sitting down. Are you writing an ad? Are you posting? Are you doing this? Are you doing that? And there's so many things that are pulling you in different directions that it is difficult to be able to do that.
Yeah, no, I totally see it. Like having so many hats to wear, having all the noise out there, and just being able to work on yourself to have the mental capacity to decide what is it that you should
100%.
do right now.
Exactly.
Hi, I'm Maude, and I'm on a mission to empower realtors with cutting edge insights, success stories, and actionable strategies from the top minds in real estate. Welcome back to Sold Right Away, where we solve real estate marketing challenges in real time. In this episode, I'm joined by Kim Wright, a seasoned realtor with decades of experience in flipping, renovating, and new home builds. She shared how her creativity and smart market timing have driven her success and profitability. Today, Kim helps us uncover how mastering market timing, maintaining financial discipline, and building strong brand awareness can set you up for lasting success. If you're looking for ways to make smarter real estate decisions, stand out in a crowded market, and build an empowering mindset, this episode is for you. Let's get to my chat with Kim. Hi, Kim. Thanks for joining me on the episode today.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm looking forward to all the questions you have to ask me.
I know. Thank you. Well, let's start with you and how did you become a realtor? I know it was since you were very young. So let's start from the beginning.
Yes, I just got out of high school, and first thing I did was I went out and got my real estate license. I
Wow.
was around 18 years old, and needless to say, it's been many, many years now. Got
That,
lots of experience under my belt.
yeah, that is phenomenal. So why did you choose real estate right out of high school?
My dad was my partner with a lot of homes that we renovated and flipped. So it was something that we did in the beginning as a business and
Mm,
continued until basically he passed, which was last year.
wow.
And he was my partner in real estate, even though he wasn't a realtor.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So was he the renovator, the builder? What was his role?
He had the mind. He
Ah,
just had that financial mind.
yeah.
And when we bought things, yes, we went partners on new construction. We went partners on renovations of old construction. And then I ended up building two homes in Oakville, one on the Lakeshore on the south side and one on the north side.
Nice.
Yes. So
Fantastic.
that I got to build my dream home basically.
Wow,
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah.
What is like what was for you a defining moment? Like you're 18 years old, you become a realtor, your dad is becoming your partner in the business, but what was it for you that you said that real estate is what I want to do?
I loved homes. I loved being creative. I could sort of see beyond what other people couldn't. So if I bought a blank, let's say a condominium, I knew how to fix it up to be able to sell it. I knew what should come down, what should go up, how to stage it. I just had that gift where a lot of people, if they're working 9 to 5, they're professionals, they don't have the time. And a lot of people just don't have the idea how to put things together, including furniture on floor plans,
Yeah.
especially if you're buying new construction.
Nice. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. To have
Yes.
that vision of like seeing the bones and how it's going to turn out later.
100%. And you really got to have that, especially if you're renovating older homes,
Yeah.
because you never know what's behind those walls.
True.
So yeah, I've done a lot of pulling things out of walls over the years.
Oh,
But like
yeah.
I said, my dad and myself, he was hands-on with me till he passed. And, we had a really good thing going. And
That's
I did very
fantastic.
well with it from the very beginning. And then I had an ex-husband now who I did build with, and that got us divorced. So real
Friction.
estate in general, as an investor, I've done well. I'm not out there anymore, on the concrete, banging on doors and making phone calls. But real estate has changed so much over the years.
Yes.
You have
Yeah.
to wear so many different hats. It's
True.
very difficult. You
Yeah.
know?
So throughout your experience, what would you think is a lesson that you've learned, or something that got you to where you are today, I guess?
Um, I'd say probably following up with clients,
Okay.
and I'd say learning the technology, which was huge, and it
Yeah.
changes all the time. So when I say wearing different hats, you've got to put yourself out on LinkedIn and Facebook and create marketing. And it's not like it's just selling real estate anymore. You've got to do the marketing, you've got to do the financial end. It's like so many hats thrown into the ring that you sort of got to be good at almost everything.
Yeah. Yeah. True.
Yeah. And that's
True.
changed a lot because when I started real
Sure.
estate,
Yeah.
we had a book. It was literally a book with listings in it, and we used to tear out the pages. And we, have a mail slot that we would go to and get our dailies out of it. Today, everything's computerized.
Yeah, that's funny. Like using a book versus
Oh,
now evolving with the times too, right?
100%. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's very different. The younger generation obviously is coming in a lot to real estate, and they just have that knack because they grew up with it, right?
Yeah.
So for somebody like me that's old, has to sort of relearn and learn brand new how everything works. And it's very digital today. Everything's at the touch of a button.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
True. When you think about like your years of experience and your background, what would you say was the key to your success to bring you to
Where I'm at,
where you are?
I would say building. I think building, yeah, I would say building would, and flipping made me the most financial
Yeah.
money. But again, they used to say location, location. I would say today it's timing, 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 because it doesn't matter what you're trying to sell or what you're building or what you're renovating. If you hit a slump in the economy, you better have the money to be able to hold on to that until things turn around. So it is location, but I'd say first and foremost, it is definitely being able to like look at timing. But who has a crystal ball that they can do that?
Nobody. So you have to have the financial backing to keep you up until things get better, I guess.
Yes, and I would say
Mm.
another suggestion is never buy before you sell.
That's
So many people get themselves into that situation, and it's panic, and the banks don't want to bridge finance things like they used to. So that's a difficult situation. If two people are working and they haven't sold their house and they've got a mortgage on that, now they've bought another house, and you get stuck with two homes. It's a very fast way to go bankrupt
yeah.
because you can't do that, which is scary because people see deals come up and then they think, oh, wow, what I could do with that, or this is a great deal. But if you haven't sold what you first had and have the money ready to go, I would say don't take that chance.
No, that's a good point. That's a really
Yeah.
good point.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Big lesson there.
Yeah, that's a big lesson, big
Right.
learning.
Right. For sure.
What would be, as part of you doing the build and selling your projects, I guess, in real estate, what was the number one business process that you had set in order to be successful?
Well, it would start from, say, that house on Lakeshore. It
Yeah.
started from there was an old bungalow on there.
Okay.
So it was my first time building, and I had to have someone take down the bungalow. And then because we're close to Lake Ontario, we had water issues.
Mm.
So where we were going to build the house, we had to move it back. I had to work with an architect to, put out all the floor plans and the exterior and what sources I wanted to use, right down to the kitchen doorknobs. It was quite the project. It took a year of my life.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's still, it's a beautiful home. VP of Shoppers Drug Mart ended up buying that. So I would say that was probably my biggest success, being able to build and sell that home.
Build and sell.
Yeah.
And you did flipping, so renovating, flipping.
Yeah, I bought a
Um,
lot of new through in the very beginning from Townwood Homes. For
okay.
years, I dealt with them, and I'd buy a house and live in it, and they would let me come in and do all my own floors, my own cornice moldings, my own painters. So it became very custom. And
Mm.
then, I'd stay in it. There were times where I had one house and I had another one across the street.
Yeah.
So even saying don't do that, I have done that. So that's why I say don't do that.
Yeah.
But I had financial backing that I knew that if I got stuck,
You
I was
would.
okay. I was
Yeah.
okay because I could live in one house and then still try and market the other one.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about that. Marketing and selling homes that are brand new. What was your strategy there in terms of marketing those?
Basically, it's all social media.
Nice.
Throwing out on a CRM to all your friends, your family, even if they're not thinking of moving, you're asking them, do they know anyone that's thinking of moving, right?
Right. Yeah.
For agents, it is very difficult to ask that ask
Mhm.
because it obviously you can have a negative result where people go, oh well, my sister's in real estate, or I'm going to give it to my neighbor, or it's tough because there's competition out there. And I'd say normally today there's 3 or 4 people going out for these listings. So, you really have to have everything down pat. People need to know you. I've never got into doing billboards, but I had my signs on most of my properties that I've had for sale. People call,
So
if they're
that's it.
not working or they don't have a contract with an agent, then, you can work with them. But marketing is mostly social media. And there's some flyers that I've done that, you find in the local coffee shop, things like that.
Yeah.
That's really the only way to get it out there,
Yeah, very
right?
true. Very true.
Right.
What have you done in terms of marketing that was not working or was challenging or that you found was not as good as social media, I guess.
I did a lot of cartoon stuff that I found on the social media, just like today's laugh about real estate.
Okay.
It went over. Let me think what didn't work.
Yeah.
I think putting people on to things like where they're locked in to getting every day or more emails from me, people
Okay.
will opt out of that
Yeah.
because let's face it, today people's inboxes are flooded. And if you are on, let's say, Facebook and you click on a new subdivision because it looks nice, like it'll say homes under $1 million, brand new. So you click on it, now you've got an agent calling you, emailing you, because of the minute that you click on that, now they've got all your contact information, which is, to me, that just doesn't work. There's no relationship there. You got to
Mm.
build trust, and you got to be personable. There's so many agents out there that I don't quite understand how they make it because they don't have the personality. Um, but now sometimes things are just done through a screen, and
Yeah.
there is no meet and greet people, have a coffee, sit down. Everything is sort of done by email, and there's no one-on-one connection.
Yeah. So you talk about like more personal, sit at the kitchen table, have a conversation.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
marketing on social media, it's flooded.
Yeah.
So what makes you different? And that's
Mhm.
sort of a strategy you have to come up with. Now, with my last name, I have a strategy
Right.
because my last name is Wright.
Yeah.
So I say buy right, sell right with Kim
Yeah.
Wright.
Nice.
So I can do so much with it's the right time to buy. It's the right time to sell. Anytime that I use right, I put I put brackets around it, or I dot it, or so that people get it's not a spelling error.
Yeah.
It is right, as in WRIGHT.
Yeah.
Even
Yeah.
on my signs, I have that tagline. So I
Okay.
continue with that, and that's pretty well how people will remember me.
Yeah. Marketing is all about remembering,
It
right?
is, and being different, you know.
Mhm.
At one time, I tried to do marketing with martinis and trying to throw martinis into real estate. That didn't work.
That
You
doesn't
know,
work. Interesting.
Open houses where you serve, I don't know, high end pastries and things. That doesn't work. People stand around the island and eat all day long, and they have no interest at all in buying the property that you're having open house on. So I would say I've learned through that. You don't
Yeah,
have to spend all that money. It's one thing to have coffee or lemonade or something like that, but you don't have
something.
to go all out. Yeah,
Something.
because that's not what people are there for.
Yeah. So when you think back, what would be, if you were to summarize, like one of your best marketing strategy, what would that be?
Probably my tagline,
Yeah.
buy right, sell right
All
with
right.
Kim
So,
Wright. Yeah, it works.
yeah,
Even though it's my married name, not my real name. Like
it's
not my
clever.
maiden name, but I'm not changing it for that reason.
Now you can. You committed to that tagline. Oh,
Yeah.
that's funny. And then you mentioned social media. So which social media platform has been the most performing for you?
Facebook
Facebook.
for me. I've never
Interesting.
done TikTok,
Okay.
and I mostly do LinkedIn and Facebook. So I
Okay.
would say Facebook.
Yeah.
Yes. And I have like 5,000 people on my Facebook. So
Nice.
now I have to start going through and deleting people, for the simple reason, like not all of them are going to be clients for me. Some people could be overseas, some people could be in the States. Chances are, unless they're a realtor and they want to do a referral,
Mm-hmm.
that's a whole other business that's really great to tap into.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. So tell us more about that. Do you have
Well,
connections from other realtors?
exactly. There's different networking that you can go on, women helping women in real estate, there's a referral book that you pay for and it goes out to all the Royal LePage. I'm with Royal LePage. So it
Mm-hmm.
goes out to all the Royal LePage offices and you have an ad in there. So if somebody was looking in Oakville where I'm stationed, they'll see my face, my name, my contact information, and they might pick me over maybe 10 other agents that are also serving Oakville.
Nice. So now
Yeah,
you're really leveraging other realtors to build a
a
database of
network for sure,
network.
for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah,
Nice. How
yeah.
do you maintain that network, or how do you keep in touch with these agents to try to build a better relationship?
Royal LePage has a tool that we use that everything can go on there and we can have a newsletter generated. And now without the artificial intelligence, it's very easy to do anything, right?
Yeah.
Even write a resume, it'll do it all for you. It's incredible, and that's like slowly getting introduced into the real estate market.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, with our CRM, we have, monthly newsletters. We get stats from head office. We post stats, the monthly sales and what's listed. We post that. Just information for the general public.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's great to just
Yeah,
keep in touch and
exactly.
put your face out there, your brand, your tagline, be memorable, right?
Exactly. Yeah, you have to do something different, right? You got to try to be professional, but different.
Mm.
And the different part's hard to find.
Yeah, yeah.
It really is. It's hard to just like get that all together, and people are going to remember you from that, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about what's the best advice you've ever received.
Best advice I've ever received would probably be not to, yeah, it would probably be not to buy before you sell.
Yeah. Okay, circling back.
100%.
Nice.
That's probably the best advice I've ever been given.
Nice. And a lesson, I guess, because you've experienced it. You lived
Sure
through
have.
it.
Yes, I have.
Nice.
Yeah.
Everybody has like their own definition of success. For you, how would you define success for yourself?
Being well rounded,
Mm,
being able to have a family and have, I do Pilates, I work out at the gym, I do a lot of self care, having the time to be able to focus on real estate when you need to, and being able to divide everything so that everybody sort of has a piece of you at different times of my life.
yeah,
And at this age, I'm doing a lot more self care, like
yeah,
working out at the gym, and you just have to,
yeah,
changing my diet. And it's amazing how much energy you get and how much better you feel when they say that, it's an old saying about, get out of bed and, go to the gym and you'll feel great. I've been doing it now for 2 months, and it's just a different mindset. You
Nice.
have the ability to focus on tasks and follow through, and that's difficult because you have, so like I said, you have so many hats,
Yeah.
and you don't know which way to go when you're sitting down. Are you writing an ad? Are you posting? Are you doing this? Are you doing that? And there's so many things that are pulling you in different directions that it is difficult, to be able to do that.
Yeah, no, I totally see it. Like having so many hats to wear, having all the noise out there, and just being able to work on yourself to have the mental capacity to decide what is it that you should
100%.
do right now.
Exactly. And it
Wow.
just gives you a whole different perspective of things. You feel good, you're mindful of things around you, you're grateful, you have gratitude.
Yeah.
All those things really do help with everything in life, including real estate,
Yeah.
because now you have the energy, you have that positivity to walk up to somebody in a coffee shop and say, "This is what I do. Here's my card if you're ever thinking of buying and selling."
Mm.
And it's having that, having your face out there, your name out there.
This is so great. Like that realization that how important is your mental health, your state, your energy in order to
100%.
succeed and to be
Yeah.
putting yourself out there.
Exactly. You have to. Like, and even at the gym, they're clients, they're
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
Anybody that's a person could be a future client. So it's very difficult to decide when. We used to have bulletin boards like everywhere, right? In the grocery stores. The pharmacies, some of them still have them, and I'll pin my card on there. And, isn't it time to sell? And then my name and all the tagline and everything. But in the grocery stores, there's not a lot of that anymore.
No.
So you got to pay everything to have your card up. Like Sobeys has a board, but then you're paying a yearly fee to have your name up there. Does that work? I don't know.
Mm.
I notice these things. I used to have magnets on the side of my car.
Okay.
Sometimes that worked.
Yeah.
I think it's just trying to create customer relations and then having them think of you when they are thinking about buying and selling, right?
Yeah.
It's about timing.
The timing has to align.
100%.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice. Very cool. So
Yeah.
if you were to look back at your young self starting in real estate, what advice would you give yourself as a brand new realtor?
Wow. Uh, as a brand new realtor, really probably tap into everyone you know. And when they
Mm.
say that, don't be shy. Tap into doctors, tap in, there was little
Right.
things that they told us to do, like take a box of donuts to the fire department. Not that I ever did it, but with your card on it, things like that. Just little things like even pens or seeds that you could do and give away
Drop
and
off.
with your
Mhm.
card and water bottles, things like that. It's all about marketing, right? It's all about, we didn't do it as much back then. When I first started, literally, I thought I would have a name on my office door and I'd have a nice office and I carry a briefcase and I'd be dressed up, driving a nice car. Well, at 18, they sat me down and they said, "Here's the book, start calling." And I'm like, "Calling who?" By street. This book was all by street. It was cold calling. Now, a
Mm.
lot of people would just tell you off and hang up, right?
Yeah.
As somebody
Mhm.
out of high school, that was really tough to get over
I'm sure.
because a lot of doors slammed, a lot of phones slammed. Now with social media, people aren't doing that as much. And then, of course, after COVID, people don't want you knocking on their door.
Yeah.
They're not as welcoming. Even back then, they weren't that welcoming, but I've had my experiences of that for sure. But yes, it's really just getting your name out there in any way that you can, come up with.
Yeah.
Like the box of donuts, really, I've never done it, but it is a good idea.
Yeah. I love it.
There was another one, if I can remember, somebody gave you an ice cream scoop. It
Yes.
was with your card, and it said, "Do you want the scoop on real estate? Call me." Little ideas like that. It's fabulous. And you could
Yeah.
go to the dollar store and buy them for, well, I guess today probably $2, maybe 3.
Uh,
But back then it was like $1.
nice.
So those were great giveaways.
It's all about being creative, standing out, brand recognition. To
Social media platform.
Yeah,
Yeah, it really is. Yeah,
nice. No,
100%.
this is so great. If you think about the question, I wish I knew. So if there's something when you start in real estate that today you think, I wish I knew about this, what would it be?
I wish I probably would have looked at the markets closer to
Oh,
see when things were getting tough. Like I remember flipping a house when the HST came in,
mm,
and it was the same house but a different location, and I made money on the other one. So I thought, okay, I'm going to buy this, and I bought it as a power of sale, and I couldn't move it
mm,
because anything that changes, HST coming in, GST, people get scared. Like
yeah,
right now with the US, people
yeah,
are unsure. The market is slow. We don't know where it's going to go. So I would say you really need to look at the markets. It's not anything that I really ever got into, but today that's where you really have to, study them. But
yeah,
there's always people that have to buy and sell.
yes,
It's also getting a niche. I think if you could get a niche, like you want to deal with seniors or you want to deal with first time buyers, I think that helps. Having a farming area, which it's called a farming area, it's like
where
a
you're gonna start your
subdivision where you
marketing.
market and they see your face every month or every
Yeah,
week. They see you walking around. They see you on the mailbox, things like that. Yeah,
yeah,
that helps.
that helps. So it's, yeah, all about brand recognition, really.
100%.
Remind people who you are and that you are a realtor.
Yes, good point, right? Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, nice.
yeah.
Very cool. Well, thank you for taking the time to sharing all of that with us today. I think that's super valuable information for realtors.
Thank you for having me,
Mm.
and I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Take care.
Thank you for tuning in to Sold Right Away. Don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review wherever you listen to your podcasts. If you're ready to take your real estate career to the next level, visit us at Sold Right Away for more resources and support. Until next time, keep closing and keep growing.